I never thought betrayal could come wearing my own last name. They say strangers can hurt you, but when the wound comes from someone you raised, it doesn't just break your heart. It burns your soul. My name is Rashid, and I'm a father who lost everything. Not to fate, not to enemies, but to my own blood. It happened on an ordinary morning. One of those peaceful, quiet mornings when life seems kind. The sunlight spilled softly through the old wooden window. I made tea in the kitchen, humming the same tune my late wife used to sing. For a moment, everything felt normal. Until my phone rang. "Sir, this is a confirmation call," the voice said. "The property transfer has been completed successfully. The new owner will take possession next week." I blinked, confused. "What property?" "Your house, sir. Registered under your son's authorization. The payment's been processed." For a second I thought it was a prank, but the man's voice was calm, professional, final. And just like that, the cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. Hot tea splashed across my feet, but I didn't feel a thing. I just stood there, frozen, staring at the pieces, because somehow those broken shards reflected everything I was feeling inside. When Adil, my only son, came home that evening, I didn't even ask at first. He parked a shiny new car outside, humming a tune, looking proud. But when he saw my face, his smile faltered. I asked one question, only one. "Adil, did you sell our house?" He looked down for a moment, then said quietly, "Abu, please don't be upset. I needed the money for a business deal. It's temporary. You'll stay with me for now." My chest tightened. I wanted to speak, to shout, to demand why, but words refused to come out. I stared at him, my son, my pride, my reason to live, and realized that I was looking at a stranger. He didn't just sell the walls we lived in. He sold my memories. He sold the years of sacrifice. He sold the promise I made to his mother before she died, that I'd keep this house no matter what. And for what? A car? A deal? A few zeros in a bank account? That night, I sat alone in the courtyard. The same courtyard where Adil had once played as a child, chasing paper kites under the same stars. But this time, when those stars looked colder, and I realized something I wish I'd never learned. Sometimes love can blind you, until betrayal opens your eyes forever. They say the deepest wounds aren't made by enemies. They're made by the people you'd take a bullet for. And I learned that truth the day my own son sold my house without even telling me. That morning was peaceful, the kind of morning that fools you into thinking life is still kind. The sun had just begun to rise, brushing gold across the old walls of my home. I was in the kitchen making tea, humming a tune my late wife used to love. That tune always reminded me of warmth, of family, of belonging. The smell of chai, the quiet hum of the ceiling fan, everything felt steady, simple, safe, until my phone rang. I picked it up, smiling out of habit. "Assalamu alaikum." A professional voice replied, "Good morning, sir. This is from the real estate transfer office. Just calling to confirm that your property handover has been completed." I frowned. "Property handover? I think you have the wrong number." "No, sir," the man continued. "House number 17 near the old market. Ownership has been officially transferred to Mr. Raymond. Payment cleared last week. Your son, Mr. Adil Rashid, signed the authorization." I felt my knees weaken. For a second I couldn't breathe. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" I whispered. The man repeated it, word for word, calmly, as if he hadn't just destroyed everything I'd ever built. My hand trembled. The cup of tea slipped from my fingers, shattering on the floor. Hot liquid splashed across my feet, but I didn't feel a thing. I just stood there staring at the broken pieces, pieces that looked too much like my own heart. I called Adil immediately, but he didn't answer. Once, twice, 10 times, nothing. Hours passed like years. When he finally walked in that evening, I heard the sound of a new car outside, its engine soft but sharp, like arrogance disguised as success. He stepped inside, smiling casually, as if everything was normal. He was wearing a new watch, sleek, expensive, something far beyond what I could ever afford. "Assalamu alaikum, Abu," he said. I didn't respond, I just looked at him, and really looked. The boy I once carried on my shoulders now stood in front of me as a man I barely recognized. I asked quietly, "Adil, did you sell the house?" He blinked. "Abu, please, don't get upset. I needed the money for a business opportunity. It's only temporary. You'll stay with me for now. We'll buy another place soon." My throat tightened. Without telling me, Without even asking?" He looked away. "I knew you'd say no, Abu, and I couldn't afford to lose the deal." For a few seconds, the only sound in the room was the ticking clock, each second slicing deeper into the silence. I took a slow breath. "Adil, do you know what this house means to me?" He sighed. "Abu, it's just a house, don't make it emotional. Just a house." Those words echoed in my head like thunder. This wasn't just a house. This was the place where his mother and I built our lives. Where I held her hand for the last time before she left this world. Where Adil took his first steps. Where every wall carried our laughter, our memories, our love. And now it was gone. Sold, signed away. By the very son I raised to know the value of love, not money. I couldn't shout, I couldn't cry. I just sat down on the chair, the same old wooden chair I'd fixed 100 times, and stared at the floor. He tried to explain, talking about investments, profits, business growth, but I couldn't hear a word, because in that moment, something inside me went silent. When trust breaks, it doesn't make noise. It just leaves an emptiness that echoes forever. That night I walked through every room, slowly, like I was saying goodbye. The kitchen where my wife once cooked our favorite meals. The garden where Adil used to run barefoot, laughing at the rain. The small prayer corner where I had prayed for his future every single day. And for the first time in my life, I didn't pray for him. I prayed for strength and to survive what he had done to me. When morning came, the sunlight didn't feel warm anymore. It felt harsh, unforgiving, and that's when it hit me. He didn't just sell my house. He sold my peace. He sold the promise I made to his mother to protect what we built together. But life has a strange way of balancing things, because the same hands that betrayed me would soon come back begging for help. And when that day came, I'd be ready. Before that morning, before the betrayal, I believed in my son with everything I had. Adil wasn't just my child. He was my reason to keep going. After his mother passed away when he was barely 12, the world seemed emptier than I could bear. I had no one but him. Nights were long, and the house echoed with silence that only loss can bring. But even in that grief, I had a promise. I promised his mother that I would protect him, that I would give him every chance I never had, that I would build a life for him worthy of dreams, love, and happiness. And for years I kept that promise. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I sold the small grocery shop I had inherited from my father, and took odd jobs to pay for his school fees, tuition, and eventually college. Every penny I earned went into his education, into his comfort, into his future. I remember nights when he would be struggling with homework, frustrated and exhausted, and I would sit beside him until he understood every lesson. I stayed awake when he fell sick, holding him close, whispering that everything would be okay. When he grew older, he wanted to start his own business. Everyone told me he was too young, too inexperienced, that he didn't know the first thing about money or management. But I believed in him. I mortgaged our house to give him the seed money for his startup. I watched him work tirelessly day and night, coding, meeting clients, pitching ideas. He called me every evening, updating me about progress, about his plans, about his dreams. I was proud, more than I can ever put into words. And slowly, I started trusting him completely. I didn't read every email he sent. I didn't check the contracts he signed. I thought, he's my son. He wouldn't deceive me. He wouldn't hurt me. How naive I was. I remember once he came to me with a stack of papers. "Abu, just sign these. I've explained everything." I did without hesitation. I trusted him blindly. Every time he asked for something, I gave it, thinking of it as an investment in his future. I believed that raising a child was about trust, about giving wings and letting him fly. But wings can also carry someone far away, sometimes into betrayal. The morning he sold the house, the shadow of betrayal finally stepped into the light. The very foundation of our relationship, built on love, sacrifice, and trust, collapsed in a single act. I realized then that sometimes the people you give everything to are the ones most capable of taking it away, and in that realization, a quiet anger began to grow. Not the loud shouting kind of anger, the cold, silent kind, because when betrayal comes from your own son, revenge isn't about immediate justice. It's about patience. It's about letting the person who broke you realize the weight of their actions, eventually. I began observing Adil, watching his habits, listening to his words, noticing his mistakes. The son who had once been my pride was now careless with details, arrogant in his dealings, and dependent on the very foundation he had destroyed. Every misstep he made became a small thread in the web I was starting to weave. Every lie, every hidden deal, every careless action, it all built towards something bigger. At night I sat quietly planning, not out of hatred but out of necessity, so I couldn't let someone who had betrayed me go unchallenged. The days after the house was sold felt like I was living in someone else's life. The apartment Adil had arranged for me and my belongings was modern, neat and lifeless. Everything was clean but cold. The walls had no warmth, the floors echoed too loudly, and even the sunlight that spilled in seemed to avoid me. I wandered from room to room, touching things that weren't mine, sitting in chairs that had never supported my weight, and sleeping in a bed that didn't carry my dreams. I kept thinking about the house I had lost. The old wooden doors, the garden where Adil had played as a child, the kitchen where his mother had cooked our meals. Every corner held memories I couldn't replace, and every memory felt like a blade in my chest. People tried to console me. Friends, relatives, neighbors. "Rashid, it's just a house," they said. "You can start over." But for me, it wasn't just a house. It was a lifetime of love, sacrifice, and dreams. No words could soften the pain. No comfort could fill the emptiness. Even Adil tried to act normal around me. He brought groceries, suggested furniture, tried to cheer me up with small gestures of wealth and convenience. But all I could see was the betrayal behind every smile.